Well, hello, everybody out there in social media land. Uh, I am coming on here today to have a little discussion about relationship. Um, I've dealt with relationship so many times, and this is something that a lot of people like for me to reach out and teach on. Um, a lot of times people will say things and not even realize what they're saying. A lot of people, they might see a picture of my wife and I on Facebook, and when they see that, they'll turn around and they'll use us and they'll say relationship goals, and they don't even have any idea what it has taken for us to get where we are. Or even just because it's a picture, it don't mean that we're actually getting along. We could be not liking each other and just posting a picture, and someone else is looking on the outside talking about relationship goals. That is the reason that we cannot at all compare our relationship to other relationships, because you never know what's really going on within a relationship. So with that being said, relationship, the root of that word relationship is relate. And when you deal with the word relate, it's simply saying that we have something in common. We have something in common. And then when you say relation, that's somebody maybe that is related by marriage or by blood. And then you get the word ship and add it onto relation. And that word ship, when added on to something, it makes that an ongoing thing. It's saying it's something that is not to end, not supposed to end. So relationship. But there are so many different types of relationships. There are relationships that I would call unhealthy relationships. And those relationships can be abusive relationships. Those can be one-sided relationships. And when we deal with those type of relationships, they're distorted, and they're distorted in so many different ways. But the relationship that I want to talk about today is the relationship between two people. Relationship that has give and take. We want to make sure that we make that clear and find some understanding in here. Now, when you deal with relationships, seasons change and people change. And I tell you, there are 4 different seasons that we have, earthly seasons, that we call winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then we have a season that is not talked about amongst the natural man as much, and that is the due season. And that due season is what comes from God. Now, I want to tell you the seasons. A lot of time, we as people in relationships, we allow our relationships to change like the weather. And we got to be very careful of allowing our relationships to change like the weather. We allow different circumstances to dictate, which way we are going to go. Tell us what to do. Tell us how to do what we are doing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, marriage and divorce. How we deal with relationships and different times and different seasons. The little study that I did, it told us that the highest rate of divorce, now you watch this is really strange to me, is in January the 12th through the 16th, is the highest rate of divorce filing each year. And study also said that each year it has a 1/3 increase. Now, but watch this. Now, this is the strange thing that I found out of this studying here. The Monday that kids return to school after winter break is the single day in a year that we have the highest rate of divorce filing. Now, the time for divorce filing that has the highest rate is in between the 12th and the 16th of January, but the highest divorce filings in one day is usually the Monday after winter break. Wow. So what does that tell us? That tells us a few things, but one of the things that I want to point out that it's telling us is telling us that a lot of people are starting families and trying to build families and not realizing what it takes. They're starting families and not really wanting the family that they're starting. When you are in relationship and you're dealing with a relationship, before you are totally committed, before you are ready to throw everything in that relationship, you need to see not only the 4 seasons, but you need to see all of the different temperaments, the times that we go through that our reactions and responses. For instance, you need to see what he or she is going to act like when they get mad. You need to see what he or she is going to do when they get sad. You need to know what they're going to do when they get happy, when they're without, when they have, and all of these different types of things, because once you begin to see, their actions and their reactions, you'll know them. And a lot of times in relationships, we are more concerned about what we're going to get, what we're going to receive out of that relationship. And nothing's wrong with looking for certain things when it comes to relationship. Don't you get it twisted. There's some things I want. There's some things I expect. But in relationship, it's more important or more blessed, as the Bible say, to give than it is to receive. We're often looking for what we can get, but how many of us are really looking for what we can give? Now, a lot of times we have to realize that what we give, it determines what we are going to get. If we want praise, we're going to have to do something that is praiseworthy. My God, if somebody, James Harden, is on that court, and if he has a bad day, he's not going to get any praise. What he's going to get is not going to be good. They're going to ask what's wrong with him. Is he getting old? Is this happening? That happening? But if he has a good day, he's going to get the praise. They're going to say, man, did you see that move? Did you see him take him to the hole? Did you see what he did? So a lot of times what we receive is determined by what we give. But some folks start families and they're not aware of that fact. They get with that woman because she's the finest thing they ever seen. They get with that man because of the fact that he has the job and this and that, all that she ever wanted in a man from the outside, but not taking the time to realize what's on the inside. And when this study dealt with me, it told us how difficult of a time that we as adults have with children. Oh my God, this hurts. It's really broke my heart to see how difficult of a time that we as grown folks, married folks, deal with our children. Once again, I reiterate that the Monday that kids return to school after winter break is the highest rate of divorce filing in one day. So that tells me that the stress of the time that those children were around and everybody was around each other, Somebody came to the point to understand or realize that they did not want a family anymore. Oh my God. And there are people now, yes, that grow up without family, grow up without a father in the home, grow up in a one-parent home, and they have a hard time. But I have feelings, and even more feelings for some of those that have a family and their family is broken up, destroyed, cheating, different types of things that cause families to be ripped apart and torn apart. Lord, help us today. So people start families and don't want them. And some folks, another thing that this brought out to me is that some folks highlight of their marriage or their relationship or of their family highlight is when they have the opportunity to be at work, to be away from their family, or be doing what they love to do in their free time. Oh my God. Let me say that again. Some folks' family highlight is when they are at work or doing what they love to do in their alone time. In other words, they don't care for being with or around family. And when these things go the way they go, people start families and don't want them, all of these things, it turns into a vicious cycle that is literally eating up our communities. It's eating up our communities. Sometimes we are so concerned about what we feel and what we're going through that we don't even take the time to realize what our children are feeling. In relationship, people are not as selfless as they used to be. Instead of being selfless, they're selfish. Oh my God. So we have to learn to compromise when it comes to relationship. And that word compromise is one of the most difficult words that we have. It's more difficult to bring that word into action than just about any word that you can think of. Compromise. And when it comes down to it, we're stuck on what we want. And every man seemed to be right in his own eyes. But when we seem to be right in our own eyes, that's also showing how selfish that we can be. And every man seemed to be right in his own eyes, and the end of that man can be death and destruction. Because of the fact that man, woman, boy, girl, they are into themselves more than being into anything else. So we got to be careful on those things. So relationship is about compromising. It's about communication. Communication is the key to any healthy relationship. Now, a lot of times we can get into ourselves and not want to communicate, not think about communicating. We would rather, turn our backs and go to sleep and get away from this, get away from that, avoid the talk, avoid the questions, avoid this and avoid that, instead of dealing with it head on. But do you know that if you go with things undone, unanswered, that those are things that will never come to an end. You will continue to have to deal with those things over and over and over again, because it's an unsolved mystery, an unsolved problem. So therefore, communication is the key to any healthy relationship. No matter how hard it may seem to be, it is imperative that two people communicate. And communication is not just one way, but communication is a two-way street. Communication, it goes both ways. Communication, one of the biggest part of communicating is knowing how to listen. Oh my God. I think I'll say that one again. One of the biggest parts of communicating is knowing how to listen. It's so important that we listen. So important that we learn to hear, because no matter what's going on, everybody, their feelings are real to them. And if you love somebody, what's real to them will be real enough for you to care about what they are feeling. Oh my God. If you care about someone, you care about what they feel. If you care about someone, you care about their pains. You care about what they love, what they like, what they dislike. You care about all of those different types of things. And I know I'm getting close to the end, so I've talked so much that I'm not able to deal with the things that I want to, because I wanted to I only want to be a certain time when I do these things here. But I was going to even deal with and talk a little bit about the love languages. We all have different types of love languages. And when we deal with the love languages is what we respond to, what we like to feel, what we like to receive, what we like to have. And a lot of times we have the ability to give what's needed, but we absolutely refuse to do it. We'll say, take it or leave it. We'll say it's my way or the highway. We, as human beings, we're selfish in that way, that we want to love you the way you want to be loved. We want to love you the way we want to love you, rather, forgive me, opposed to loving you the way that you want to be loved. And that's where we mess up. Because if you love me the way that you want to love me, maybe your love is tough love. While every now and again, I might need a hug. One of my daughters, I have made them some tough girls. And one thing that I do, I go in there, and when I greet them with a pop upside the head. And when I pop them upside the head like that, most of them just take it. But then there's one that says, I don't want to be loved like that. I want a hug from my dad. So I tell them, well, this is the way that I do. I've been doing this forever, and this is what I do. Then they say, well, you can do that. She just made it up with me yesterday. She said, okay, I'll take that. First, you slap me in my forehead, and then you give me a hug. You love me the way you want to love me, and you love me the way I want to be loved. So we have to learn, whoever we're in relationship with, we must learn their love language. Knowing their love language is one of the most important things that we can do when it comes to marriage, comes to relationship. Knowing one's love language is one of the most important things that we can do when it comes to relationship. That's just like the art of war. When we're dealing with war, one of the most important things is to know your enemy, Because if you know your enemy, you might know their next move. You might know what they're thinking. You might know what they're going to do. And if you know what they're going to do, then you're better equipped to win that battle. So what we have to do is use that type of thinking in every area of our lives. We don't want failed relationships, just like we don't want to lose the war. And if you don't want a failed relationship, you have to do everything that it takes in order to win. And hopefully all of you, all of us, when it comes to our relationships, that we are in it to win. All right, relationship. I think I'll cut it right there and maybe get a little part 2 on that a little later. When we get going a little bit more, we're going to start dealing with a lot of questions. I have a lot of things that people want me to talk about and to deal with, and I'm going to do that as well. So we're just getting started. And so we love you all, and God bless you.